This is Daily Armenia, ＳիվիլNeթ's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. The three memoranda of understanding signed between Armenia and the United States in Washington earlier this month and published by Armenia Today make no reference to the so-called Trump route proposed through Armenia's southern Sunik province. The route, long demanded by Azerbaijan to secure a land connection with its Nakhichevan exclave through Armenia, was reported to be the central element of the August 8th trilateral agreements at the White House, which brought together the leaders of Armenia, Azerbaijan, and the United States. The project, said to have been agreed upon by the US President Donald Trump and Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, and later endorsed by Baku, is expected to involve a joint Armenian-American venture to manage the link. Washington's participation in the initiative was widely viewed as both a safeguard against Azerbaijani military pressure on Armenia and a move to bolster US influence in the South Caucasus. The document, titled Memorandum of Understanding regarding the Crossroads of Peace Capacity Building Partnership, has no reference to any specific route or project. Instead, it outlines a general framework stating its purpose as to collaborate towards the improvement of Armenia's infrastructure and border security, including through investment, resources, training, and partnership. The parties commit to encouraging private sector investment and facilitating the exchange of best practices between the US Department of Homeland Security and Armenia's border guard troops. It further notes that participants will hold regular consultations but provides no additional details. The two other memoranda, also published, follow a similar structure but focus on an energy security partnership and cooperation in artificial intelligence and semiconductors. Their content is likewise vague, broadly echoing the spirit of the Charter on Strategic Partnership that Armenia signed with the US in the final days of the Biden administration this January. You can read the full text of the Armenia-US agreements by following the link in the video description. In Washington, Prime Minister Pashinyan and President Aliyev also agreed to disband the Minsk Group, a mediation platform established in the 1990s under the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe to facilitate talks on the Karabakh conflict. Alexander Lukashevich, Russia's envoy to the OSCE, announced today that the group would be formally dissolved by the end of this year. Given the party's position, we see no grounds to obstruct its closure, he announced. Although the group, co-chaired by Russia, the United States, and France, has been inactive since the 2020 war in Karabakh, Aliyev has long insisted on its complete disbandment, arguing that the conflict ended with an Azerbaijani victory and that any organization linked to it implies the outcome is not final. Pakistan may consider establishing diplomatic relations with Armenia, the country's foreign minister announced today. Foreign Minister of the Republic of Armenia, His Excellency Ararat Mirzoyan, and I held a cordial conversation on the phone today and agreed to consider establishing diplomatic relations between Pakistan and Armenia, he wrote on X, formerly Twitter. This move follows the Washington agreements between Yerevan and Baku earlier this month, a major step in normalization between the nations. Pakistan never established diplomatic relations with Armenia and, unlike Azerbaijan and Turkey, remains the only country that does not formally recognize Armenia's independence. Islamabad attributes this to love, respect, and solidarity with brotherly Azerbaijan, its ambassador in Baku, Qasim Mahmoudin, said earlier this month. Narek Karapetyan, the nephew of jailed Russian-Armenian billionaire Samvel Karapetyan, held the inaugural convention of a new opposition movement in Yerevan today. With upcoming elections in Armenia, the most suitable legal way to participate is to form a political party, he said as he addressed his supporters. The movement, titled Our Own Way, said it welcomes any volunteer, regardless of their social status or political alignment. Samvel Karapetyan was arrested in Armenia in June after stating that we would intervene in our own way in the conflict between Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and Catholicos Karagan II. He was initially charged with incitement to seize power and later faced economic crime allegations. While in detention, Karapetyan announced plans to create a political movement to oppose Pashinyan. Following his arrest, the government moved to nationalize the electric networks of Armenia, which had been owned by Karapetyan structures since 2015, justifying the move as necessary to ensure an uninterrupted electricity supply and prevent an energy crisis. Karapetyan's other assets, including shopping centers, a football club, and a chain of pizza places, continue operations, though some have undergone inspections. To contest the nationalization, Karapetyan's representatives appealed to the Stockholm Chamber of Commerce's arbitrator last month, which issued a preventive measure ordering Armenia to hold the nationalization and refrain from appointing its own managers. The Armenian government, however, does not consider the ruling legally binding, a stance Pashinyan reiterated yesterday, urging any executive official who disagreed to resign. Today, Karapetyan, Armenia's top legal envoy in international disputes, stepped down following his office's statement last week that compliance with the Stockholm arbitrator's ruling is mandatory. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.